Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and moving on over at the Avdiivka Front. This is the front line that everybody is now very concerned about. The Russian forces are continuing the attack. They have penetrated through Badaichi, Avdiivka, Tonenke, expanded Zhevny. They're attacking Pervomaisky and Nevelsky. And the Ukrainians are counter-attacking over at Bakhmutivka, over at Avdiivka, Tonenke, and Pervomaisky. And there is a number of major claims coming from the Russian side, not the Russian Defense Ministry, but from the open source. So the Russian forces have allegedly taken Badaichi, according to Ryba, as well as Tonenke. And this is, and then after this, and also they have reportedly taken Avdiivka. So all this information comes over the past 24 hours, which means that things developed really quickly. And for the Russians to take this much ground and take 3 different settlements in the space of 24 hours shows that Ukrainian forces' lines have entirely collapsed in this region here. There is alleged withdrawal of Ukrainian forces from Avdiivka and Tonenke towards Umansky. And the Ukrainian forces at Badaichi have moved to Semenivka, and I believe this is not a holdable position because now they are now getting enveloped, and a pincer attack is going to develop over at Semenivka. Ukrainian forces is likely to quickly run away to Novoselivka, Persha. This is most likely going to happen, or towards Novoporovsky, and this is going to develop into the new line of defense, which I doubt will hold as well, because apparently, given the fact that there is no heavy entrenchment along this line of Badaichi, Avdiivka, and Tonenke, the lack of heavy entrenchment means that the rear position is going to be even worse. So the Russian forces is going to have a field day if they can continue to keep up with this intensity of advancement and development. Then they are likely to continue to make full use and full development of this breakthrough. And there is a high chance, a high possibility that the Russians are able to do this because, as I mentioned in the regrouping of the Russian forces, they now have a full army group that is concentrating almost entirely on Avdiivka. So let me click that. So this is. So just realized my changes was not reflected. So there's an entire group of army group, the center group is now focusing purely on the Avdiivka front. And so for such a big force that is concentrating only on this front, which means that the Russians would have the capability and the capacity to follow up on breakthroughs. So if you don't have enough manpower and equipment, you will not be able to exploit a breakthrough. And the Russians, given the concentration of forces at the Avdiivka front, it shows that we literally is seeing this in action, that they have enough reserve to rotate and continue to push one after another against the Ukrainian lines. And the Ukrainian forces over this area here is unlikely to be able to hold unless they have massive number of reinforcement to proceed to provide covering for the withdrawing forces, and then hold the line that the Ukrainians would need. And also, it's going to be quite difficult because if they do not have a heavy entrenchment and fortifications, then they will have to depend on maneuver warfare, and the Ukrainians are severely lacking in equipment in terms of tanks and armored vehicles. So, and then for these armored vehicles and all these things, is going to be very vulnerable to Lancet attacks as well. So Lancet are the suicide drones that is meant to target vehicles. So this is going to be one hell of a problem for the Ukrainian forces. So the situation, although there is all this claim about the capture of Badaichi, Avdiivka, and Tonenke, this is only Russian claims. This is not corroborated by the Ukrainian side just yet. So it's important to take this with a pinch of salt first. But there is a high chance that this will develop further. So the Ukrainian mapping only mapped to half of Avdiivka. They gave up the entire southwest of Stepove. And but Berdaichi, the one at Berdaichi is not acknowledged by the Ukrainians. This other half of Avdiivka that was captured is also not acknowledged by the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians only acknowledge that the Tonenke is now taken. The entire southern part is taken by the Russian forces. But this breakthrough, this finger is not. Yeah, it's this way. Yeah, this finger is totally not acknowledged by the Ukrainian side just yet. But so this is actually a bit weird because in the Avdiivka front, the Russian forces, the Russian information had always been lagging behind the deep state UAs, the Ukrainian side's mapping. So this time around, it is the Russians that are taking the leap ahead. Maybe it's the leap year, it's the 29th of February, so it's a leap year. So they leap ahead of the Ukrainian reporting. So we will continue to monitor and see where if this is the case. But there is geolocation of Bradley fighting vehicles getting hit by a FPV drone while it was retreating from Berdaichi. So there's this strike around here, and another geolocation of Ukrainian forces getting hit by MLRS in the north of Berdaichi. So there is some kind of a possibility based on geolocations. So we will definitely have to take note of the development, whether this can be corroborated. But given the tide of the war is very, very believable that these claims are all correct and the Russian forces are indeed have captured Berdaichi, Avdiivka, and Tonenke. And there is also all this concern about Ukrainian forces getting stranded in these small little bulges at Semenivka and south of Avdiivka. They will definitely going to need to quickly run away. But I don't think the number of forces that is stuck in this area here is going to be significant. It's going to be very small. So we're definitely going to see the continued route of the Ukrainian forces from now on, because there's totally no way to defend all these areas here right now. The next line of defense is here. This is a pre-war entrenchment, so this is definitely going to be a strong line, and the Russians are unlikely to going to break through that line quickly. The Russians is going to close up to the line and definitely do regrouping, clear up the conquered area before they make other further breakthrough through this front line. So we're definitely going to see more Russian captures until this line, this red line over here. So at Charitini, Novoporovsky, all this line all the way to the Khalivka is going to be all gone. The Russians is going to fend down to Netelove from Umansky region and take Pervomaisky. The Ukrainian forces is not going to hold Pervomaisky if the Russians attack into the rear. So these are all very, very interesting. The Russian Defense Ministry themselves acknowledged they have captured this town called Petrovskoye. So this Petrovskoye is most likely referring to Stepove, because it's something that they have not acknowledged just yet. So this is likely to be referring to Stepove because this small little town is also known as Petrovskoye, just west of Krasnohorivka. So anyway, we will see this develop, but this is very, very exciting in terms of observers and war fans, or just war enthusiasts. This is a very exciting development, but of course people die, so don't celebrate too much. And so that's all from the Avdiivka front. We move on to, at the New York front. Ukrainian forces continue to counterattack to try to draw Russian forces away from the offensive. Is not going to work because the center group of forces that is concentrating on Avdiivka does not take charge of the fighting over here in New York. So this diversion attempt is not going to work out. So this Ukrainian push is going to be deterred by the Russian forces that is stationed over here to protect Avdiivka. Is unrelated to the forces that is conducting the offensive action over Avdiivka. So this is not going to work.